you can thrill us, you can begin to thrill us, then we'll have your time.
Greatest Nigerian people! Please, I want the foundation of oppression to be shaken when I ask you, or I say to you, greatest Nigerian people. Greatest of the greatest of the greatest Nigerian people! You know, we have no time. We have no time between now and 2019 to waste. But I can tell you something, that we have already achieved victory. The number of people in this hall today, I've been told, are actually infinitesimal to the number of people on the outside. I hear there are thousands of Nigerians outside this hall as we are here. And they are all yearning for revolutionary politics. Yes. Yes. You know, I would love to give you manifestos, but we have acres and acres of manifestos that have never been implemented by men without character, by men who are deceptors, people who have ruined our future. And we have decided, you know, I'm starting to think that it's not about taking it back, because it looks as if we are actually begging them to give us something back. I am convinced that they are now on the run. They are on the run from this movement. And I can guarantee you that this movement is not just here in Ibadan. It's all over the world. When the people of the United States of America had the same kind of problem you had today, they went to Philadelphia and had what they called the Declaration of Independence. That was how they chased the British kings away from their lives. It is the reason why today, when the English people use kilometers, the Americans will use miles. They change even their standard of measurement. And that's the same thing that we are going to do. When the people of Nigeria wanted independence, they have headed to Ibadan today. And we are going to achieve that independence. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't clap for me. This is not the time for jokes. It's not a time for adulation. It's a time for us to get very serious, because we have a battle ahead of us. I'm not going to deceive you. These guys are not going to leave power on their own volition. We have been fighting them for 30 years. We have been engaging them. Now is the time to disrupt the system and take it down. It is up to them to choose where they want to be spanked in this fight. It's up to them to choose to live peacefully.
When you say disruption, you scare us.
It's not scaring anybody. I am a digitalist. And when you talk about disruption, it's actually a computer language. That there is a computer word or terminology known as wicked. It's called wicked problem. And what is a wicked problem? They said the wicked problem is not necessarily something that is evil. It is something that is resistant to solution. And the Nigerian state and their operators are not necessarily, actually a lot of them are cowards. Yes. And they are afraid of their shadows as we speak, but they are a little bit resistant to the kind of solution you have been giving them, which is engagement. What is engagement? Every time they come around, they say, well, they make promises, you know, they beg you, they give you bread, 500 naira, you know, they make some promises to you, and you vote for them. That's engagement.
And read for them.
You read for them. You beat people for them. You kill for them. And that is engagement. Disruption is that we change that order. That instead of those of us in the majority always running away from them, being afraid of them, allowing them to steal our commonwealth and loot, we now become the ones who are on the run away from us. That is what disruption is about. When I started Sahara Reporters 12 years ago, I wanted to disrupt the Nigerian media. Edmond Opilo here you got to give it to him, please. Clap for him for a second, please. is one of the young people who has come to disrupt the media space by his brand of radio journalism. But there are also useless media people in this country, and I'm not afraid to mention the likes of AIT, who don't pay their workers, who give people business cards to go and extort politicians, who actually partake in corruption. Those people are not supposed to be in charge of our media space. But if it was not for Sahara reporters, we would have not been able to take the darkness out of the 2015 elections. In fact, it was when we announced the 10 first results that they got scared and they had lost the election. And that was why the next day you saw Orubebe sit down in front of the place. He said, where did they get the results? He messed himself up. But that's not the first time our intervention saved this country. When Nigeria was in the throes of disruption by a cabal headed by a woman, the wife of late President Yaradua, it was Sahara reporters that was reporting on his health. And I laugh at people who say that I am not experienced. I laugh at them. I'm sorry for them. I empathize with them.
Is Sahara reporters guerrilla journalism?
It is not guerrilla journalism, it is revolutionary media. Because journalism has become a part of media. Journalists are people who write in journals. The way the world works today is such that every journalist has to be part of media. Why do I say that? The biggest media company in the world today is a disruptor. Do you know it? Facebook. Facebook became the biggest media company in the world.
So can I call you a disruptor?
I have disrupted the media space. I'm now here to disrupt the political space. And I want to say something very quickly, Ebilo. I want to say something very quickly. Yes, about people who talk about experience. They say it all the time with glee. You know the problem? Nigerian young people, we have to empathize with them. Their self-esteem has been destroyed and battered over the years. They've been told that they are not good for anything. They've been told in schools that they can't pass their exams. They are given advice in hospitals. After you go to hospital 3 times, a doctor refers you to a pastor. You are not living. You are dead. And the battery of that self-esteem is the reason why a lot of them have internalized the inferiority complex that they cannot be president of the country. It's also a conversation about class and disrespect. That because I'm not the son of a thief, I am not qualified to be Nigeria's president because I don't have the experience as a thief.
But you are a village boy.
I am a village boy. I came from the village and I've seen the world.
Hey.
Yes.
What was it like growing up in that village?
I grew up with nothing, but I'm not here to tell you a village story. We are all now in prison, and we have to get out of prison.
Did you have shoes?
I didn't have shoes, but I had self-esteem, I had integrity, and I had dignity.
There is something about him. He's got guts. Huge guts. When the courtists attacked you as Students' Union president, what was it that happened that day?
Well, I was attacked by, actually not courtists, I was attacked by gangs sponsored by the military government under Abacha. The attack on me and my colleague is here, Otunoga Baggage, where we contested against each other at the student union level at the university. Baggage, just stand up for recognition, please.
Nigerian people! Sowore is our next savior.
Yes. Thank you. I was attacked by gangs assembled by the government. In fact, the attack on me was led by a police officer who was also a University of Lagos student at that time. The police commissioner at that time was Dan Baba. He served several years in prison for ordering the shooting of a media publisher, April. It was him that I also organized my attack. So don't get it wrong. The court guys, or the gangs as you call them, were just instruments that were used at that time. It was the government that was directly responsible. But to answer your question, it is a mass that saved that night. And when the court guys, even though they were armed to the teeth, saw 2,000 students coming from this side and another 2,000 coming from, they had to flee. And today, during our time at the University of Lagos, no students died. The year I left the University of Lagos, at least 5 students were killed on campus by the gangs. And what was I doing that for at that time? I wanted to leave a legacy at the University of Lagos that I could sacrifice my life to protect others who needed a future. I have brought myself again out, and this is very instructive. Listen to it. They're going to come after me. There's no question about it. But it is too late now. Like Martin Luther King said, I have been to the mountain top. And I've seen the promised land. It doesn't matter what happened to me now. We will make sure that we get you there by taking it back.
Nothing will happen.
I'm not worried about it. What is important and what matters now to me is how you get your dignity back. It's how you get your children to go to school that offers education. It's how you can have infrastructure. It took us about 2 hours to get from between Lagos and Ibadan today. Half of the road infrastructure was impassable, right? It has taken them 18 years just to refurbish Lagos-Ibadan highway. It's taken them several more years to put security together so that you are guaranteed of sleep at night. You don't have electricity. It is by design. This is the only country in the world where we pay for darkness. $16 billion was spent to improve the darkness of Nigeria under the man in Ota who is organizing a third force. Whether they're the first force, second force, third force, fourth force, all of the forces will be on the run in 2019. And I want to make a quick promise to you that we are looking at solving this problem through what we call Spicer. Our campaign is going to be spicing up our lives. I will deal with security first, right? And after security, we will have power. I mean electrical power through the mix of solar energy, coal, hydroelectricity improvements, gas-fired turbines. We'll put light in every corner of this country. It is possible. All we need to do is to be investing the money that has been stolen to improve darkness on getting us power. Infrastructure, I've said it, I want to put young people to work and turn this country into a construction site because we need 20 million housing units. Look, Nigeria's best resource is not oil. Oil is lazy economy. It is people. 180 million people. Have you heard in China about ghost cities? These are houses and apartments that have been built by Chinese people to last for it. They have not been occupied. It is the Chinese people that built it. Have you ever heard about China? Do you know of any resource in China? Have you ever heard that China had oil or gold or copper? No. We only talk about the Chinese person. And we have a chance now to talk about the Nigerian person. And Nigeria is about to conquer the world. We are going to, of course, deal with corruption, not the way they are dealing with it now. And I can tell you specifically how. Have you heard that they have a list that they are playing around with these days, right? Luther's list. But ask yourself, those of you in the Southwest, how come Obani Koro is not on that list? Because the moment you join the APC, they will deodorize you. If you are not in APC, they will criminalize you. Right? E is economy. We got to put the Nigerian economy back on international map. And again, through the hard work of his people. I'm not breaking them down, I'm just giving you the acronym today.
Now,
right? And of course, health is very important. But before health is that we want to restructure this country. And don't get me wrong, I am not part of those people preaching restructuring for the old people. Because the old people have been restructuring Nigeria into their pockets forever and ever. They've been doing it since they were born. I'm sorry, I don't hate old people because Wole Soyinka is old and I love him. But I do not respect old people who capitalize and prey on young people, deny them of their future, and then come around when they lose money or they lose power to talk about restructuring.
What?
If Nigeria wanted to be restructured by people like our father or your father, Olufala, he would not have accepted 100 million naira from Jonathan. All those traditional rulers who were pocketing monies that could have been used to build schools, bridges, and roads, they can't teach me restructuring. They are not interested in Nigeria that is restructured in your interest. The restructuring of Nigeria has to take an economic form first of empowerment. And secondly, after we are done with that, we have to do away with the constitution that was created by the military. We cannot claim that the constitution of Nigeria today claims that we the people, were you part of the people that wrote the constitution? Did you vote for the constitution? So why is anybody imposing that on me to restructure Nigeria with? Of course, we are going to do health and education. I come back to that. May you never be a PhD holder that has to drive a truck for Dangote. Amen. Right? Amen. And that is what we have been doing. Somebody was asking how come Dangote's company do not produce billionaires or millionaires like him. They are not designed to do that. If a company's job is to hire PhD holders to be driving trucks, he doesn't want the PhD holder to become self-sufficient. And it is the reason why I proposed that we will merge our minimum wage to a level that is called living wage, so that the salaries, which is 18,000 naira, that is paid to workers in this country, will not become what Yoruba people call salary. You know, go and see it, because it will never take you home. Nothing, and I say nothing, and I say this unapologetically, prevents Nigeria from paying 100,000 naira minimum wage to its workers. Even that is insulting, because in Mauritius, the minimum wage for people who are doing factory work is $536 per month. In Nigeria, it's $46.9 per month. And I see a lot of Facebook economists saying that it will cause inflation. Well, I say, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they are saying. The inflation that is not caused when some senators are collecting 13 million naira a month for doing nothing, it didn't cause inflation. When Desiani and Kola Aloko stole $3 billion, which the VP of Nigeria certified a few days ago, it didn't cause inflation. When Mrs. Jonathan started opening all these accounts, 5 million here, 10 million there, 50 million here, it didn't cause inflation. But when you say that that money should be given to our workers so that they can send their children to school, so that they can buy medicine, that they can ride, they can have dignity, they say it's going to cause inflation.
Wow, thank you. Can you give Sowore a round of applause? The conversation has just started.
So, I am not making promises. What we have calculated is that it will only cost Nigeria just $1.3 billion more to pay workers 100,000.
We want to ask you some questions.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
What's your name?
Yusuf Aladenge. Good afternoon, Mr. Sowore. I came all the way from Abeokuta this morning. I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Many people have touted you as just an anti-corruption crusader with no clear blueprint. With no clear blueprint on economic revivalism or social insurance for the country. How would you react to those claims, sir?
I just told you that workers will be paid 100,000 naira, and I want to add 10,000 naira. That's minimum wage. I also want to add that those of you who are youth corpers will be paid 50,000, and we should be heading very quickly to 100,000, because youth corpers should be able to earn minimum wage as well. And if you are a youth corper and anything happens to you while you are in service, your parents will get paid, or your family will get paid 10 million naira.
Okay.
You know, for insurance, or you are disabled. But let me also say, because I want to address students, we have been working on the calculation of how many Nigerian students we have in higher institutions. Can you believe that Nigerian University Commission do not know how many students are in our higher institutions? Right? They don't know. But we have figured it out, and we want to invest 50,000 naira each on every student, so that when you cannot pay your school fees, you are not denied your final results.
How do we have access to your plans? Are they?
They are going to be uploaded online. They're going to be made physically available. We are not in a hurry to put them up because you know the other side. They are thieves, content thieves. They will steal our ideas and, you know, they will mix it around and claim it to be their own. But I'm breathing life into this so that you can understand that it's not a joke, that Nigeria can be put back to work, that Nigeria can become a country where people have respect. I've been away from this country for 19 years. That's how long I've been gone.
We have a question here.
And I have seen so many parts of it. I don't want to compare Nigeria with the UK or the US. I want to compare Nigeria with Ghana. Go to Ghana and you never observe any blackout. It happened 3 years ago in their country where they had some power blackout issue. It was only for a few hours a day and they were freaking out. In fact, they had to punish their president to an election loss because they felt that it took him too long to fix the power in the country.
Okay.
In Nigeria, they want the man who is there now who has failed so much to, like what Ibenendo's father said, that if your son fails the class, don't you let him repeat. Would you allow the man to repeat another 4 years and put your life in a lockdown?
Okay. Mr. Sowore, we have somebody here. Mr. Sowore, what is your political ideology? Are you a capitalist, a socialist?
I am not into labels, and I don't want to be labeled in such a way that it takes away from the message that we have to give right now. Nigeria is sick, right? It needs a doctor. Whatever ideology you call that is what I am. Nigeria needs a future that can be guaranteed to its children. Whatever ideology will deliver that, you call me that. You see, all these ideologies that we are banding around, they were ideologies that were developed by other countries when they had problems and they wanted to solve them. By the time we are done with Nigeria, our own ideology will emerge and will be adopted by everybody around the world. That is my promise.
Also announce that we have Femi. Yes, he has been in the struggle with Gani Power and me. He hasn't given up. So
the fast comrade, ayaya, abolisha de nawaya, ayaya, 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 ayaya. Thank you. No, I have 30 years of experience taking a stand, and you can always count on me that when it was dangerous to do so, when I was 21 years old at the University of Lagos, I stood on the side of the people. If you have ever been on the internet, there's a video circulating of me standing behind Bashorem K. Abiola in 1993. I was 21 years old. At that time, when student leaders were being offered 505, I don't know if you guys ever heard about the car called 505. I rejected it. So why would I compromise 30 years later? When I started Sahara Reporters, as you guys can imagine, I was dealing with some of the richest people in the world, not even in Nigeria. They threw everything at me. Dollars, money, what do you want? Cars. I never compromise, right? There's nothing in this world that can compromise me. I've said it that I may be poor, but the happiness I have is that I'm comfortable in my poverty and with my poverty.
So what cannot be poor?
Well, it depends on what you call poverty. Some people who you claim are rich only have one thing and one thing only: paper money. That is not wealth.
Yes. Good. That is the point.
Yes.
So what cannot be poor? Poverty is not a question of currency.
Yes.
It's a question of conditions. The condition of the mind. You have been conditioned to be poor. The mentality has been debased to a very large extent. Those are the things that needs to be rescued. You want to speak to Sowore, right?
Yes. Oh, Mr. President, my question goes to us.
It's not president yet. It's not president yet. Yes, it's not president yet.
There is no candidate, as we speak now, that is campaigning about anything in Nigeria. They are all waiting with their bags full of naira, with their puff-puff, with their bread, hoping kerosene, hoping that they can give it to you and rebrand your life and change your destiny and come back in another 4 years. Nobody, and you can challenge me, there's no politician in this dispensation that's had this amount of crowd that have not spent 100 million naira. Yes. We did not give common bottle of water to anybody here today. We did not pay anybody's transportation to come here today. People are here on their free volition, right? So please, don't let us degrade the movement by saying if we take it back. It's not about me, it's about you. It is you that is taking it back. I am just fortunate and privileged to be granted the opportunity to lead the charge. When you take it back, when we take it back, it's up to you. It's in your hands now. Take it back.
Structure, the federal universities, what will you do for the youth? What's in for the youth that makes me not to want to go to a private university? That like the federal universities become a thing of attraction.
I attended a federal university known as the University of Lagos, right? And when we got to the University of Lagos in 1989, we still had water running in our toilets, right? We had fan in our rooms. We had mattresses. We had classrooms that had air conditions. They were air conditioned. But do you know what happened? They came and destroyed education with structural adjustment programs, SAP. And what did they do? They borrowed $120 million, which they claimed they were going to use to build libraries and laboratories and buy books and pay lecturers more. But what did Babangida and his people do? They gave the contracts to fence around the hostels, the rods in the hotel. Why did I say that to you? Is that when there's mismanagement of resources, embezzlement of funds, universities can never be fixed and applied to everywhere, including the health sector. Ask yourself, who are the people owning and running private universities? Most likely former ministers, former governors, who stole the money that were meant for the federal government universities and converted them to all contractors under our government. The federal universities, state universities, and all education institutions in the country will be properly funded. And I'm not just making up the story, I mentioned it earlier. We are going to look at every student and tell you how much we spend on you and give it to the university. But as I like to mention, and people say maybe I concentrate too much on anti-corruption, woe betide the vice chancellor that steals monies that are meant for your hostels. They are going to spend a long time where they wouldn't want to be.
They should rot in jail.
And I've said it before, I'm not making this up. When I was a student union leader, I fought my vice chancellor to a standstill. Interestingly, the man is from this city, Ibadan, Professor Rurudin Alao, because he was doing the bidding of the military. I was expelled twice from the University of Lagos. In fact, part of the reason I went to study a master's degree at an Ivy League school in the US is to prove that I wasn't a layabout when I was in university. And I can compete anywhere. If you are given the opportunity, the right kind of atmosphere to study, Nigerian students can compete anywhere in the world without going to a private university. I'm not against private universities, but public universities must be well funded. But you know what they are doing, and I'll stop there regarding education. They defund the federal public universities so that they can drive you to their private universities. They do the same thing with our hospitals. Doctors are directing patients to their home. Most doctors in public institutions in this country also own private institutions. Before anything happens to you, they have asked you to go and do your blood work in their private.
What would you do to them?
Oh my goodness. You don't want to know. I'm serious. Because I'm not only serious, I'm furious about the way they run this country. It is very easy to fish these guys out and to meet them appropriate sanction. See, doctors swear to an oath not to do shady things. Even at that level, you can handle a lot of malpractices within the medical profession. You can handle a lot of malpractices within the legal profession. You can handle a lot of malpractices even among lecturers and what they do to our students. So, with the moment the society starts working at the highest level, at the top, it will filter down to the bottom.
When are we hitting the villages? When are we moving in?
You are thinking of the past. You think that villages, you think that villages used to be what villages used to be. My grandmother, who is 95 years old, is watching me tonight. I mean, this afternoon, in Ondo State. Why? Because somebody who has a cell phone is on Facebook Live, say, come and see your grandson. We are reaching the villages already. We've moved past. That's why we say to Nigerians, an analog brain cannot lead a digital populace.
Just the last question for him to round up the show. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kazem Bolarewa, Oyo State Young President of the Year. First of all, I'd like to thank you for publishing my first article in 2013. Something is wrong and it went so viral. 30 different sites got this from Sahara Reporter. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I want to ask this question. Recently, just 5 days ago, we started a movement called Deliver Oyo. Please, everyone log on to your Facebook, your Instagram, and follow Deliver Oyo. We really want to deliver Oyo, okay, from so many things to so many things towards good governance. Now, if we decide to work effortlessly, magnanimously, tirelessly with you to deliver Oyo, to help your campaign and make you win this election, especially in Oyo State, who happens to be our own power. Sir, what are you going to do for Oyo youth significantly? That is one. Two, he asked my second question is, when are you going to the village? But now, I'm not going there again. You want to become the president, Oyo State alone, or the West, or the Southwest alone will not make you the president. It's the entirety of Nigeria. When do you want to go to the north, to the south, south, and how do you intend to penetrate these people in a manner that they are going to support you? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to answer very directly. Actually, I just remember that we are in Ibadan. Honestly, because we did something very significant with Sahara Reporters in Oyo State a few years ago. We had some young people confront the governor. You remember that embarrassing video? Yes. Where he said, and I'll say this in Yoruba, that he was saying, "Don't make Kokomo yin." Constituted authorities is what we got from. We have already delivered Oyo for you. It's up to you to take it, to claim it. But here is a bigger answer to your question about the youth. I want to make it very clear that regardless of how good we want to be at the top, we need everybody to start coming out. Please, first, get your PVC. Second, contest for every election contestable. Do not feel inferior as a young person to also contest for the governorship of your state and win. So that by 2019, we will have governments that we can actually relate with, governors that we can relate with in every state. We have House of Rep members that we can relate with in the National Assembly. We have senators that we can relate with, even though my preference, if you ask me, is to abolish the Senate. The Senate is a waste of space, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources. But I'm not going to be able to do it without the help of the people. And your question, what's the last? When are we going to the north? My goodness. When we move from here, we're heading to Abuja on April 10th. On April 12th, we're in Kaduna. On April 11th, we're in Kano. We are already getting information from Sowore, Enugu. We already have something set up for Lokoja. We have Akure, Abeokuta. We already have Port Harcourt. We have heard from the UK, London. New York wants us to come back. Toronto, Canada wants us to come back. We are hearing from all over the world, but again, digital revolution. We are everywhere now. You just need to go on your Facebook and see how many people are watching us from, and you can tell. This one you don't need to lie about it. People are logging in and saying, I'm logging in from Zimbabwe, from Zambia, from South Korea, Japan. People are watching us. People are with us. We are all over the place right now. One of the things we want to do next is to start doing what they call virtual town hall meetings, where we sit and Nigerians from around the world can log in digitally and have us have this conversation. My advice to you is not to give up. Please do not give up. I want to ask before I hand over the microphone to you, Obelo, how many of you here have PVC, permanent voters card? Sure. You can already tell that they lost the election in 2019. You can tell. They lost.
Before you go to Will, he wants to know something.
Yeah, comrade, sir. Yeah. My name is Emma Chekachim, so I'm from Imo State.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm an Igbo boy, and I've been trying to convert the Igbo people. Now, we have people who think they have been invisibilized, they have been marginalized, they have lost hope in the Nigerian project. Yes. Sir, please, how do we penetrate these people that have the Biafran mindset? That's my question.
That's a very, very good question. And I will answer it today from the bottom of my heart. The Igbo man has not just been marginalized, the Igbo man has been trampled upon, their children killed, starved in a civil war. And ever since then, Nigeria has managed not to pay attention to Igbo life. But the Igbo man and his spirit has managed to build for himself a spirit that has conquered the world. I will say to you that first and foremost, when I become president, I'm going to apologize to Igbos on behalf of Nigeria. But I won't be like the others. Apology is not enough. There has to be a rapid economic development of Igbo life. What the Igbo man needs is the road upon which to transport their goods. Transportation, airports, seaports that can bring their goods to anywhere. And that is why I say, with due respect, I am not doing this for Nigeria alone, I'm doing this for Africa.
You are a Pan-Africanist,
I'm
right?
a Pan-Africanist. I want Nigeria's playground to be Africa. But we cannot do it without integrating with other African countries. There is no reason why it should take 4 hours to cross from Benin Republic to Lagos. Just because we have corrupt custom officers and immigration officers. We have to bulldoze the wall there, put a highway that goes from Lagos first to Ghana and eventually to Senegal.
That means
so that we can play in the West African region as well. Imagine myself at the African Union after I become the president of Nigeria, and all those old haggard dictators come to the meeting with me, and I tell them, go back home and resign. And you know I've done it before. I did it to Mugabe in 2015 when he came to Buhari's inauguration. I led a charge against him. I said, Baba, when are we coming to inauguration in your country? He was looking at us. You probably seen the video. And that was the beginning of the demystification of Mugabe. Now he's out of power. We must demystify our own Mugabes at home so that we can be in power. Thank you.
We have to let Sowore go. But Sowore, this young man has been on our case. So you must listen to him.
It's a good thing that the questions keep coming. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
My name is Ademaratu Olamileko. Yeah. This is... Move away from there.
See?
Go ahead. All right, sir. Yeah, I'm very happy that Mr. Sowore is here finally at Ibadan. Yeah, this is my question. I want us to adopt emotions here in the city of Ibadan. I've been following Sowore for a very long time and Edmond Obelo. This is what I want. The motion is that what is wrong with the ticket of Mr. Sowore and Edmond Obelo ticket? Thank you very much.
I don't answer that for now. Yes, the question will be answered later. But the lady wants to ask.
Good afternoon. My name is...
Hello?
Yes, I'm Afolarinda Malan. I'm currently the first male president of my department from Polytechnic of Ibadan. And I want to ask a question about gender equality. Sir, before I became the president, as a female, I went through a lot of things. And what I meant by that is gender inequality. So, what do you think we can do? Because I believe in this current Nigeria, we have one thing we call sex discrimination and gender inequality. So what do you think you can do for females that they can actually get involved in politics?
Your question.
No more questions.
We will answer that question by deliberate policy of inclusion of women. They did it in Rwanda. 60% of their lawmakers are women, parliamentarians. Ministerial positions were deliberately given to women. And we will do that for Nigeria. You should not be discriminated against because of your sex, and you should not be discriminated against because of your gender. There will be no room for discrimination when we win in 2019. And we will deliberately support candidates, female, vibrant female candidates like yourself, to get into political office and give them